Some ideas don't just shift your perspective, they reconstruct your identity from the inside out. What I'm about to show you isn't some productivity trick or motivational fluff. It's a psychological crossroads. On one path, you develop razor-sharp self-awareness, emotional precision, and a mind that responds with intention instead of impulse. On the other, you risk unlocking a colder, more calculating version of yourself, the kind that doesn't just read people, but rearranges them like pieces on a chessboard. This isn't advice. It's an irreversible upgrade. Because once you gain the ability to observe your thoughts as they form, you stop reacting like everyone else. You stop being a pawn of your emotions. You start thinking 5 moves ahead, reading silences, decoding intentions, manipulating atmospheres without a word. And the terrifying part, no one will know you're doing it. You'll walk through rooms like a ghost with a blueprint, seeing motives, tracking insecurities, predicting outcomes before a single decision is made. This isn't just influence. It's influence disguised as intuition. It can turn you into someone who shapes the moment, or someone who bends it for control. You won't just notice the board everyone's playing on. You'll begin rewriting the rules. This is power, but power that demands a question. Will you use it to enlighten or to dominate? But before you answer that, you have to understand what's at stake. This brain hack can make you invincible or invisible. Some people will never see you the same again, and others will never see you at all. You'll speak less and understand more. You'll stop chasing validation and start observing behavior like a scientist. The world becomes a psychological landscape. Every smile, pause, and shift in tone a clue. You won't just listen to words. You'll listen to the gaps between them. You'll catch the things people are too afraid to say out loud, even to themselves. And that knowledge, it can heal or haunt. What if I told you there's a faculty of mind most people never engage with? A rare kind of awareness philosophers have danced around for centuries. Socrates called it self-examination. Buddhists call it mindfulness. Psychologists call it metacognition, the awareness of your own thinking. It's not just being conscious. It's being conscious of your consciousness. Most people never go there. They react. They feel and follow the emotion. Anger arises. They lash out. Fear creeps in. They run. Ego gets poked. They defend. But a mind that sees itself, that's a different beast. That mind doesn't just feel. It watches itself feel. It doesn't just respond. It interrogates the response. It questions, pauses, recalculates. It doesn't say, "I'm angry." It says, "What is this anger protecting?" It doesn't yell. It studies the urge to yell. That space, that second of reflection, it's where freedom lives. That moment between reaction and response is the birthplace of all human control. And once you taste that control, chaos becomes less intimidating. You don't just survive emotional storms. You chart their path before they arrive. You gain the power to edit your reactions before the world ever sees them. Imagine walking through your day with a camera inside your mind, not recording, but analyzing. Every reaction, every feeling, every irrational fear suddenly becomes data. You start noticing your own emotional patterns, naming them, and questioning them. What am I really feeling right now? Is it anger? Or am I just embarrassed? Is it anxiety? Or is it the fear of losing control? Is this frustration about this moment? Or is it the weight of the last 10 moments I've carried into this one? Philosophy has always taught us to examine the hidden architecture of thought. But most people never do. They confuse sensation with truth, emotion with direction. But you're now stepping into the realm of clarity. The moment you name the emotion, really name it, you detach from it. You stop being the anger and become the one watching it. And that, right there, is how the transformation begins. That small shift rewrites how you interact with people, how you process criticism, and how you interpret failure. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" That simple difference separates growth from stagnation. When you begin naming your feelings accurately, something strange happens. Your mind stops being your master and starts becoming your servant. You no longer act on every impulse, no longer spiral from every stressful trigger. You interrupt the old loop. And that interruption, that pause, is the seed of wisdom. You gain composure not because you're suppressing emotion, but because you are decoding it. And once you decode your own emotional software, you begin to rewrite it. Most people say things they regret because they're being driven by unnamed forces. But now you're identifying those forces before they act. That's not just intelligence, that's power. And power, when paired with reflection, turns into insight. You begin to see not just what you feel, but why you feel it and where it comes from. You learn how much of your anger is actually sadness, how much of your arrogance is just fear wearing a costume. You stop being a stranger to yourself. Now take it further. This isn't just about emotion. It's about thought itself. Most people confuse their thoughts for truth. I'm not good enough. They don't respect me. This will never work. These aren't facts. They're echoes, residue from past experiences, early conditioning, or societal scripts. But a metacognitive mind doesn't accept these narratives unchallenged. It holds them up to the light and asks, who planted this idea? Do I believe it because it's true or because it's familiar? That's what most minds never do. They absorb, obey, and repeat. But when you begin tracing a thought back to its origin, you begin reclaiming authorship over your mental life. That is the beginning of philosophical living, not reacting to the world, but shaping your inner world in alignment with truth and reason. You realize you've been living inside beliefs that aren't even yours. You inherited them, adopted them, obeyed them out of habit, but now you're auditing them. And in doing so, you're rewriting the story of who you are. Think of it this way. Your thoughts are like architects quietly designing the structure of your reality. If you never question them, you end up living in a mental house someone else built. But once you start tracking and challenging your inner dialogue, you tear down walls that never serve you. And that, in itself, is freedom. The freedom to rebuild. The freedom to become something different, something chosen. Now here's where it gets dangerous. This ability to reflect, decode, and predict. It can uplift you, yes, but in the hands of someone without compassion, without empathy, it becomes a weapon. The same tools that help you become emotionally wise can also help someone else become emotionally manipulative. Because if you can understand someone's emotional landscape, you can either heal it or exploit it. This is where the philosopher becomes the Machiavellian. Not all who master the mind do so to enlighten it. Some do so to control others. They learn to observe your tone, notice your micro-reactions, track your insecurities. And once they know what makes you flinch, they know how to make you obey. They don't shout, they whisper. They don't demand, they plant ideas. Subtly, repetitively, until you believe the idea was yours. That's the terrifying beauty of cognitive influence. It doesn't feel like coercion. It feels like realization. These people don't need to control your actions. They control your narrative. They delay the replies just enough to make you doubt yourself. They use long silences not because they have nothing to say, but because they know you will fill them, often with apologies, explanations, or emotional slips. They praise selectively, punish subtly. They train your emotional system to associate obedience with safety. You begin policing yourself to stay in their good graces. And the worst part, you think you're being rational. You think you're the one in control, but your behavior is no longer self-directed. It's being shaped, loop by someone who understands the map of your emotions better than you do. Sometimes, these manipulators wear the mask of helplessness. They make you feel like the savior, the only one who understands them. They overshare early, make you feel special. But in truth, they're loading you with emotional debt. They use your kindness against you, turning guilt into leverage. Suddenly, disagreeing with them feels like betrayal. You weren't in a relationship. You were in a psychological contract you never signed, but somehow started enforcing. It's not love. It's behavioral debt disguised as intimacy. And that's the ethical heart of this entire exploration. This brain hack, this skill of seeing yourself from the outside, isn't inherently good or bad. It's neutral. Like fire, it can warm or destroy. What makes the difference is your intention. Will you use this power to evolve or to dominate, to liberate yourself or to ensnare others? In philosophy, this is the discipline of the inner life. The Stoics practiced it, the Buddhists meditated on it, and the existentialists warned of what happens when we don't take responsibility for it. The moment you stop treating your thoughts like commands and start treating them like suggestions, that's when you reclaim your mind. And when you do the same with your emotions, you become something rare. A being who feels deeply, but isn't ruled by feeling. Who thinks broadly, but isn't trapped by thought. You no longer fear discomfort. You study it. You no longer avoid failure. You dissect it. You become a scientist of your own experience. Now you see why I warned you. This brain hack isn't just a technique, it's a turning point. If you master it, you will walk into rooms with a calm mind and a strategic edge. You'll begin to read people without them knowing they're being read. But remember, power without philosophy is dangerous. If you use this awareness to control others, you'll lose your own humanity. But if you use it to free yourself from mental loops, toxic relationships, and reactive habits, you'll become something even rarer than intelligent. You'll become wise. The question now isn't whether this brain hack works. It does. The question is who you'll become once you've mastered it. A guide or a manipulator, a strategist or a puppet master. The answer lies not in what you can do, but in what you choose to do when no one's watching.